Their contractor dumped paint water into my drain. It backed up into my basement and destroyed $3,000 worth of flooring. When I showed them the damage, they said, "We're not responsible for other people's work." But what they didn't know was that I recorded the whole thing. I live in Dayton, Ohio, in a decent neighborhood where people mostly mind their own business. I bought the house 6 years ago. It's nothing fancy, but I put a lot of work into fixing it up. I finished the basement myself over 2 long winters. Laid the flooring, painted the walls, installed a small bar down there. I was proud of it. The house next door was sold to a younger couple last year. I'll call them Drew and Haley. They were friendly at first. Invited me over for drinks when they moved in, waved when they saw me outside. They said they had plans to update their place, and I said good for them. Old house, hadn't been touched since the 80s. I figured it would be some paint, maybe new windows. But then the trucks started showing up. First it was a small crew. Then it turned into a full-blown remodel. Hammering all day, dumpsters in the driveway, guys shouting at 7 in the morning. Sometimes they'd park in front of my mailbox or leave trash bags near my fence. Still, I didn't say anything. I figured, all right, they're working on it. I'll just wait it out. One afternoon in late September, I came home from work early. I walked around the side of the house to check my meter and smelled something sharp in the air. It was that thick, plasticky smell like wet paint and chemicals. I peeked over the fence and saw one of their contractors, this older guy with a stained hoodie and jeans, dumping a big, white bucket straight into the ground drain. The one that sits right between our properties, about 5 feet from my foundation. I stood there for a second and then said, "Hey, what's that?" He looked up annoyed. "Just rinse water." "From painting?" "Yeah, it's fine. It's just water." He didn't stop. I told him that drain runs into the same pipe that connects to my basement. He waved me off like I was being dramatic. Said it was fine. Not his problem. Then walked away. I didn't argue, but I pulled out my phone and hit record. I don't even know why. Maybe I felt like I'd need proof if anything went wrong. It was just a short clip. 30, maybe 40 seconds. Him, the bucket, and the label on it that said interior latex. Him dumping it in the drain. I figured it might clog something, but I didn't expect it to happen so fast. 2 days later, I came downstairs and stepped onto soaked flooring. It was cold, mushy under my socks. I turned the lights on, and my stomach dropped. The whole basement floor, every plank I'd laid down by hand, was covered in this murky, grayish water. Not clear. Not rainwater. This stuff had a chemical sheen to it and smelled like paint and sewage. A disgusting mix of both. The water had come up from the floor drain near the washer. I could see the trail where it had bubbled up and spread. The bar? Soaked. The bottom of my drywall? Swollen. The storage boxes? Destroyed. I ran outside, opened the street side clean-out pipe, and it was backed up completely. Thick, gooey, gray sludge inside. My hands were shaking. I grabbed a wrench and tried to clear it myself, but it was no use. I called a plumber that night. Emergency rates. He showed up the next morning. Scoped the line. Said there was buildup in the pipe, paint solids, latex film, clumps hardened over time. It had gummed up the whole line and caused a backflow into my lowest drain. He cleared it out, but said there might be long-term damage. The whole line might need replacing. It cost me $450 just for the clean-out. I paid it. What choice did I have? Then came the real damage, flooring, $3,000 gone. I kept the receipts from when I installed it and the quote from a local company to tear it out and redo it. They confirmed what I already knew, it was ruined. So, I went next door the following weekend. I was calm. I told them what happened, showed them the video on my phone. Told them the contractor they hired dumped paint water into a drain that goes straight into my system. Told them it backed up and destroyed my basement. Drew just crossed his arms and said, "That's not on us. Talk to the guys we hired." "But you hired them." "Yeah, but we're not responsible for other people's work," he said. Haley didn't say a word. She just stood behind him, arms crossed too, like they'd rehearsed it. I stared at them. "You really think you're not responsible?" He shrugged. We didn't tell him to do that. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just said, okay, and walked back home. But what they didn't know is that I had already called the city. That contractor? Not licensed. Not even registered with the state. And they were working under a homeowner permit, which makes the homeowner legally responsible for anything done by unlicensed labor. I filed a claim with my insurance. I submitted everything: the video, the plumber's report, the repair estimate. My adjuster said they'd cover the cost for now and subrogate against my neighbors. Basically, they'd sue them to get the money back. A few weeks later, Drew knocked on my door. He looked nervous. He stood on my porch with his hands in his jacket pockets, eyes darting around like someone was watching him. "Hey," he said. "Can we talk?" I didn't say anything. Just opened the door a little wider. He stepped inside, looked around like he was seeing my house for the first time. His eyes went to the stairs leading down to the basement, then back to me. "So, we got a letter," he said. I knew what he meant. The insurance company had moved fast. Sent them notice of legal action for damages. I stayed quiet. "It says we're being held responsible, that we owe the cost of your repairs." "Yeah," I said. "That's what happens when someone you hire ruins someone else's property." He rubbed the back of his neck. "But we didn't know. We didn't tell him to do that. We didn't even know he was doing it." I didn't even try to soften my voice. "Then maybe don't hire someone who works out of the back of a pickup with no license." His face turned red. "Okay, look. Haley's dad knows the guy. He said he was good. We didn't think we needed permits for everything. It's just cosmetic stuff." "Pouring paint into a drain isn't cosmetic," I said. "That guy wrecked my plumbing, my basement. It's not a mistake, it's illegal dumping." He didn't say anything to that. Then he tried a different angle. "Can we just settle this? Without lawyers? I've got a kid coming in January. I don't need this hanging over my head." It caught me off guard. I didn't even know they were expecting. But still, I wasn't moved. Not after standing in 2 inches of gray water, throwing away flooring I spent months installing. Not after being told, "Not our problem." I already filed. "It's out of my hands now," I said. He nodded. "Yeah, okay. Just thought I'd try." Then he walked out. I thought that'd be the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I came home to something weird. My mailbox was gone. Just the post left, like someone had yanked it right out. I reported it, but there were no cameras, no witnesses. The cops just said to keep an eye out. Then, the back fence gate was left wide open 3 mornings in a row. I never leave it like that. Once, my shed was unlocked, and a few things inside were moved around. Nothing stolen, but it fell off. I couldn't prove it was him. Could have been coincidence. But I started to feel uneasy in my own home. The worst part? Haley stopped making eye contact. She'd turn away if she saw me outside. One day I heard her crying through the window, and I honestly didn't feel good about any of it. But then the letter from their lawyer arrived. It said I was harassing them, that my video was recorded without permission and an invasion of privacy, that they were considering a countersuit for emotional distress. I read it 3 times. Then I laughed out loud. They were really trying to flip the story now. I sent everything to my insurance. They weren't worried. Said it was typical scare tactics, people trying to avoid taking the hit. Then I got the call. From a guy I didn't know. Claimed to be a friend of Drew's cousin. Said he heard about the paint thing, and maybe I should just let it go before things get worse. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about money anymore. This was turning into something else. I hung up the phone without saying a word. The number was blocked, and when I tried calling back, it went straight to a dead end. I stood in my kitchen holding the phone, listening to nothing. Just that silence after something shifts. I wasn't scared yet, but I was definitely on edge. I started keeping the basement lights on at night. Installed a camera above the back door and another facing the driveway. Nothing fancy, just something to give me peace of mind. I didn't want to believe Drew was behind the call, but after the lawyer letter and the weird things around the house, it was getting hard not to. Then, one morning, I came out to leave for work and found a can of paint on the hood of my car. White. Latex. Same kind. It wasn't leaking. Just sitting there, clean like a warning. No note. No one around. It hadn't been there the night before. That was it for me. I filed a police report. Gave them the footage from my security cams. They didn't catch anyone on tape placing the can, but the cop who came out seemed to believe me. "We'll keep an eye out," he said. "But unless we catch them doing something, there's not much we can do." So I did something else. I started digging. I called the permit office again, this time asking about the rest of their remodel. The drywall work. The plumbing. The electrical boxes I saw being hauled in. I asked if those permits existed. They didn't. The only permit filed under Drew's name was a basic residential cosmetic update.
No plumbing, no electrical, no structural.
And yet I'd seen contractors busting down walls, hauling out wiring, unloading pipes. I sent the whole file to the city inspector. It took 2 weeks, but then a truck pulled up out front with the city seal on the side. 2 inspectors got out. They spent over an hour next door. That night, Haley came to my door. Alone. Her eyes were red. She was holding a folded piece of paper. "I didn't know," she said, "about the permits. About any of it. I didn't say anything. I just waited." She handed me the paper. It was a written apology. From her. Not him. "I wanted you to have it in writing," she said. "Not because it fixes anything. Just because it's the truth." I looked at her. "Why now?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because they're making us stop the remodel. They're giving us fines. And Drew, he's blaming me. For everything." I should have felt something like satisfaction. Justice. I didn't. I just nodded and said, "Thanks." She walked back to her house. And the next morning, Drew was gone. His truck, his tools, his stuff gone. Someone told me he moved back in with his brother. Left Haley behind with the mess, the fines, and a half-finished house. I never saw him again. But 3 weeks later, I got a letter from a local law firm. It wasn't from Drew. It was from Haley. She was suing him. She never came back for the apology letter. It's still in the drawer by the front door, folded exactly how she handed it to me. Sometimes I think about throwing it away, but I don't. Not because I forgive her, or because it matters legally, but because that moment, her standing there alone, was the only time someone admitted the truth without being forced. Everything else was a fight. And even now, months later, the basement's fixed, the cameras are still up, and I still flinch a little when I hear construction trucks in the neighborhood. What sticks with me isn't the damage or the money. It's how fast people turn cruel when they think no one's watching, and how quiet they get when they realize someone was.